Greetings. My name is Louis Molina, and I'm with the Life Puro podcast. Today I have cigar broker Jeff Groover with us in studio, and we're glad to have him. So with that, Jeff, welcome.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for taking the time, first of all.
Yeah. Well, it only took, a flight from Palm Beach to Jackson, then Jackson driving up to Oxford, Oxford back down to Jackson, Jackson to Biloxi, Biloxi to New Orleans, New Orleans to Baton Rouge.
That's it.
Nothing for the past, 2.5 days?
Yeah, that's it. Come on.
Yeah. So, true story. I talking to my girl, Jenny, if you're out there listening, love you, sweetheart. Thanks for your help at the show in Vegas last week. Yes, was in Vegas last week. Your brother was there.
That's right.
Treated me kindly as always, but sitting there on Easter, we're having brunch, go to a friend's house, and, it's getting later in the day, and I knew I had to get up in the morning to fly out, and I was like, babe, let's make sure we're home, cocktails down, cigars down by about 5, wash up, nice dinner, TV on, bed at 8 o'clock. It's still 9 o'clock. We're at our friend's house. He's cracking open yet another bottle. We light another cigar. Here we go. My flight. I have to get up at 3 a.m. Monday. My Uber was at 3:45. I end up at the airport at about 4:15. It's pretty close to the house. My flight's out at 5:30. I started my day. So after going into Jackson, then again, Oxford's 3 hours north. It's far, right? And then back. So it's later in the evening, and she calls me, hey, babe, how's your Monday going? And I go, today is April Fool's Day, right? And she goes, it is. And I said, I feel like somebody played a really bad joke on me today. I go, with the length of time and the lack of sleep, right? And probably some alcohol still kind of coursing through my system at 3 a.m, I go, it's like a really bad April Fool's joke. And she goes, you played the joke on yourself, right? You were the one that set up your travel. I'm like, man. You're not making this better.
Yeah. Did anyone play any tricks on you other than that then?
No, one of my buddies, actually David Figueroa. Brand we're going to talk about. We'll mention him again here in just a bit. Mm-hmm. Also big in the cigar world. He sent me a thing. I'm a Dolphin fan. I'm a sad Dolphin fan. I know if Tua, if you're listening, you're a great kid. I love what you do, but I don't feel like that guy has the it factor as a quarterback to be able to carry the team on his back. When you need to go get a win, there's some QBs that literally will drag the rest of the people to the end zone with the ball. This, unfortunately, young man doesn't seem to have that it factor from what I've seen over the past couple of years. And he's in a 5th-year negotiation contract, and they're talking about paying him a couple $100 million, $40 million. I'm like,
you don't think he's worth that?
Do not. If his stock is so high, trade him and go get somebody new. That's my opinion, right? Yeah. So my buddy David Figueroa sent a thing, and it looked legit. Breaking news: Adam Schefter just reports Tua signs the highest contract in NFL history, $280 million, $54 million guaranteed a year. And I'm reading this thing, and I'm like, no! And, and he sends back his April Fool's, man. I'm like, it was already having a rough day. You just made it worse, bro.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
But you must have felt good right after that, realizing that wasn't the deal, huh?
Unfortunately, I still think it's coming. It's going to happen. They haven't made any positions to move him out of South Florida. So I just I'm sorry, go ahead. To me these days, most of the quarterbacks that are really good in the NFL have to be a dual threat. You got to be able to run and think on the run and throw on the run. And when the pocket collapses, or that's the thing about him. When everything is absolutely perfect, the line's protecting him, the weather's 70 degrees and sunny in South Florida, he's spot on. Right? You go to Buffalo and it's 10 and there's snow in the sidelines, right? And somebody busts a hole through the line and he just collapses, right? He'll throw a pick or he'll get sacked. And I'm like, just slide, throw the ball out of bounds. I don't care. Live to play another down, right. And he proves one too many times to me that he's not that guy, I don't know. So
I didn't realize he was there. He's entering his 5th year, you said?
Yeah. Yeah. So
I remember, I don't really watch NFL too much, but just hearing from people, I thought the Dolphins at one point were like making a run for the Super Bowl.
Absolutely, we were. And to me, the thing that prevented us from getting there is Tua. Right? Think about it. We have one of the most elite core receiving guys in the league, the fastest ever. The running backs off the charts. And people are like, man, we lost so many of our defensive players. Every week we'd lose 2 people, 2 by 2 by 2. We're down 6 starters. We were still in every game with backup. It wasn't our defense. The only thing that kept falling apart, and typically in the fourth quarter, was this kid Tua. Like, all we needed to do was get a third down. We had 3 chances to get a third, we'd go 3 and out. We're back up. Just, I don't care. 3 and out. We get up there, 3 and out. And I'm like, we took 1 minute and 9 seconds off the clock in in 15 minutes. I'm like, no, if we just stay on the field, game's over, right? We're up and we figure out how to lose. I'm like, our defense exhausted and they still have us in the game.
I feel that's what happened to the Saints this past year. Like, the defense did their job for the most part, and it was the offense that couldn't just close the deal.
Right.
And so, we lost more games than,
Your ex-quarterback, Breeze, who I have a ton of respect for, he's size-wise reminds me very much of Tua, right? He's not a big guy. Yeah. But the thing that your quarterback could do is, one, he had a phenomenal arm. He could, if the pocket broke down, he could scramble, he could throw, he had the capability. The problem with Tua was, in college, again, poor kid, the last play with Alabama.
He was in Alabama,
He 2 big dudes on his shoulders, and he hits his knees. It broke his hip. They didn't think he'd be able to walk again, run again, much less play in the NFL. He proved the world wrong.
Oh, I remember.
Right?
Yeah, I remember that.
Phenomenal. I have a ton of respect for that. But he can't move. He's like a sitting duck, and they say he's 6 foot. I think he's probably closer to like 5'10" and change, maybe 5'11".
Okay.
He put on another 20 pounds, but he was like a $108, $190, 5'11". You can't move. You got a defensive end coming around the corner that runs a 4.5. The guy's 6'5" and 270. Bad things are about to happen. And that's, he had to learn to fall, which I thought, I'm like, how do you not know how to fall? Literally last year he went to jiu-jitsu classes because he kept getting concussions. He'd fall and his head would snap back and hit the ground. So they had to teach him to fall. I'm like, you are a grown man in the NFL. If you don't know how to fall already, we definitely got the wrong dude from the start, right?
Right. But do you think that injury in college set him back?
Yes.
And you're still seeing
because he doesn't have
effects?
that quick slide movement motion, right? And also,
and he used to have that before that injury in college.
He never really had to use that. Remember, he's in Alabama. He had a great line that no one could touch him, right? Yeah. Like, hand the ball off or just sling the ball downfield. That's the other thing. So he doesn't have like the arm, like a Breeze, or like look at Lamar Jackson, look at Josh Allen, look at Mahomes. These guys have rocket ship arms, and so that's the other thing, right? For a smaller guy to be able to really throw the ball, you have to step into it. You have to move toward the pocket, that mechanic, to muster the ability to do it. So what are you doing? You're actually putting yourself more in harm's way because remember, the defensive people are right in front of you. So if you have to go toward them to muster the ball to the guy that can run the fastest in the NFL, he underthrew Tyreek 1 million times. And they kept saying, they're chanting Tua like MVP. And I'm like, no, bro, the MVP of our team is Tyreek. That guy would jump up midair, turn around, and catch the ball down by his belly when it clearly should have been over his head in full stride. He doesn't have that arm strength. Yeah. And that just makes me frustrates me. I think we do have I don't know about now. We had a Super Bowl quality team that lacked the key piece. Yeah. And that was the quarterback.
That's a big piece too. So
it's the biggest piece. And and in the draft, when I screamed at the TV, we passed on Justin Herbert. We went up to get Tua before Herbert. And I'm like, Herbert's 6'4", 250. He's got a cannon of an arm. He can run. I'm like,
where'd he play? I
think he played at Oregon, if I'm not mistaken, but he plays for the Chargers. Okay. He set every rookie record ever. Again, he's got a bad team around him, or he did, right? Tua has a really good team around him, and it makes him look much better than I think he really is, and that's so. We came to talk about cigars and drinks and all kinds of not football.
No, this is a show about everything. It's a good life. Yeah,
I'm sure I'll get some negative likes along the way.
Hey, I'm happy to get any negative comment, positive comment. It's activity.
That's right. They say any
interaction is a good
interaction. That's right.
Well, so let's get into cigars. So you're going to light up an EP Carrillo.
I am.
I'm going to. Yep. You want to tell me a little bit about
absolutely.
that one?
So Ernesto Perez Carrillo, been in the business, got 40-something years. They call him the godfather of boutique cigars. A lot of people don't know La Gloria Cubana was his original baby. Built it and fortunately was able to sell it off, make a bunch of money. Heard the stories that, he wasn't so big into playing golf and fishing. After about 5 years, restarted his brand. And right out of the box, La Historia ended up number 2 cigar of the year. Same year, Milano got number 1. A few years later, he actually ended up with number 4 with the Oscuro. 2018, he ended up number 1 with the Majestic, Nicaraguan Puro. Then in 2020, the Pledge, which is a beast, got number 1 again, highest rated cigar ever. And then this past year, he actually farmed this one out to the Oliva family. It's called the Allegiance. The little bigger size is the shorter size called Sidekick, but the Confidant, which is the Toro, ended up number 5 cigar of the year.
Okay.
Yeah. So
wait, that line is made by Oliva Cigars?
Yes, sir, it is.
Wow.
His last 3 projects were all farmed out to other companies.
Okay.
So he did the Inch Nicaraguan with Plasencia, which is phenomenal. Just personally, if Ernesto, you're listening, if you can make a 1/2 inch or a 1/4 inch, something smaller ring gauge for my own personal pleasure, I'd love that. But no, we sell a ton of Inch products, and the Inch Nicaraguan is absolutely phenomenal for a bigger ring gauge stick made by Plasencia. They make phenomenal sticks as well. The Short Run 23 was made by Oscar Valadares, so we farmed that one out to them. And then this one was farmed out to the Oliva family. So again, I think it's smart, in my opinion. You know what you know, right? But you also don't know what you don't know. Not that I'm saying Ernesto doesn't know anything, right? But you're getting...
It's that Donald Rumsfeld chart. The known knowns, the known unknowns, the unknown knowns, and the unknown unknowns.
Right, that's right. So again, now you got a product coming out of Nicaragua. And again...
it's a different profile, right? So
100%. Something different than what you normally do.
Yeah, let's say there is a fan, a smoker who doesn't like Ernesto's own stuff. If he goes to another factory, hey, there's a chance that he can get that client.
100%.
Yeah.
Right. If you got a lot of Oscar fans that have never, maybe don't know or haven't tried Ernesto's product, well, then, hey, we're pulling from that market.
Yeah.
Or maybe you got a Plasencia fan, we're pulling from that market, so we're crossing streams a little bit, and that's a wonderful thing. And also, Ernesto did the Aliados for...
Oh, that's right. For Oliva.
So we did one for them. They did one for us.
So what's going on with that? I've noticed that in the industry. Is this public knowledge?
Yeah.
Have they told why they're doing that? Is it because maybe they don't have capacity, or they're trying to use other factories' philosophy of blending?
I think that may be it. Just give something.
Because I've seen Skip Martin employ EP, Carrillo for a cigar.
Listen, why do
other manufacturers like General going to Justo Aroa, it's all becoming just very
Nick
more.
Melillo just went to
My Father's Cigars.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, again, it's like I think we're about to have a cocktail. It's like Scotch companies putting their Scotch in bourbon barrels, and I'm like, wait a minute, Scotch is one thing and bourbon's another. I think tequila is now putting. Some of the tequilas are in bourbon barrels, and vice versa,
it's
so
crazy.
people are just crossing streams, It's like, hey, whatever, it works, man.
Yeah,
As long as you're having fun and enjoying, that's truly the most important part.
Exactly. So let's get to the bourbon. You saw this already, and for people who listened to our last episode, we talked about this. It's basically a barrel pick from. You've heard of the guys, the
Starlight.
Yep, Starlight, and then
I think
the guys who
Texas base. No,
it's
Starlight
Indiana.
is Indiana. That's
Indiana,
right. Sorry.
Yeah. So this is a barrel pick from this group in the cigar industry called the Unicorn Squad of Awesomeness.
Yes.
So led by Garrett Calhoun, who's the Davidoff rep.
Thank you, Garrett. He hooked me up with a bottle once before.
Yeah,
Very
which
hard
one
to
was
get.
that?
That one was from the French Lick Distillery, also in Indiana. Buddy had a picture of Larry Bird on the back, hard to get. There was one bottle in existence, and my buddy Chris Newport, it was his birthday coming up, and I'd happened to take a picture when I was in Tupelo. We drank the last of a bottle, and I just sent the picture of it because I knew, he's a big Larry Bird, where he's from, and he goes, I need a bottle of that. And I said, well, I can bring back this empty glass bottle because we're about to finish this bottle off, right? He wanted one full. So these guys were very kind to go out in the world and find a bottle for my buddy for his birthday. And
Very cool.
They had it wrapped up for me, and I flew it home and showed my girl, and she's like, oh, my God, were you able to get 2? And I said, no, there was only one in existence. And I unwrapped it out of the bubble wrap. I put it on my display of beautiful bourbons, and it looked so pretty there. And I lay in bed at night, and she goes, so what are you going to do with that bottle? And I said, I know it's Chris's birthday, but man, it's truly a unicorn, right? This thing does not exist. And I said, but I'm going to sleep on it. She goes, okay. So I wake up the next day, and after we had breakfast, she goes, and we were going over Chris's house for his birthday. He was turning 40.
Okay.
And she's like, so do we got to stop and get Chris another present? And I go, no, babe, get the bottle bag thing and sign the card. I'm going to go in there and take it off the shelf and put it in the bag. It was all started and meant to be for him, right? Yeah. I felt selfish keeping it for myself. And so she always kind of politely checks me. She said, you know what? I just wanted to see what your response was going to be, but that is the correct response, right? Like
the one of the ethical man.
Right.
Yeah.
I was like,
the selfless
yeah.
guy.
And then of course I take it to him. I want to open it and drink it. And he's like, this is going on my collection. And I promise to never open it. I'm like, what? He said, but if I do, of course you'll be the call. And he's he's got a beautiful collection. And I think he gifted me back a couple that day. He was like, you can't get this, you can't get this. And so we kind of did a swap there.
So you're a big bourbon collector.
I don't know about big bourbon collector. I got a nice collection going on.
Okay.
So it's been a good thing, a fun thing along the way, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, cheers and help yourself.
Thanks
if you
for
want
having
more,
me.
yeah, thank you.
What is it? Clink, clink, right?
Mm-hmm. Have you had this one yet?
I have not seen that one yet.
Okay. Yeah, this is for people listening in. It's from Starlight Distillery. It's bourbon whiskey finished in PX sherry barrels.
There you go.
So you get a little bit of the sweetness.
Yep.
Pretty good to pair with a cigar. And this one, these can see like the little cartoon. They so the group does their own little back label, and it's a bunch of Care Bears with the sherry is caring.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
And they do fun like designs and packaging. I think they do a barrel pick every year. So I was fortunate to get on this group. Beautiful. And when they get a new offering, they'll send out the notice. So I think I got this other one I haven't even opened yet. Let's see. Well, these two.
Yeah, what does that one say? Oh, nice.
So you could check that one out. I haven't even the Morning Glory. And this is another one from Starlight Distillery.
Okay.
Which is a cigar batch. It's rye whiskey finished in Brazilian Amburana barrels.
Oh, nice.
And they call it the cigar batch. So a little picture of Babe Ruth and a cigar.
Excellent. I like that.
So maybe next time you get on, I'll open one of these up for you.
No doubt. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're going up. That one. So the one we're drinking now is 107 proof. This one's 110, and this one's 115. I think my buddy Ryan would say it's hot.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
let it sit and open up a little bit. You know, nice, awesome.
So you haven't had this one though, huh?
I have not. No, sir. Yeah, I've had a couple of the Starlights, but they definitely were none of these. So Garrett, if you're listening. I'm telling you, I think I made the offer once before. You guys do a run through to, Indiana or Kentucky or something. You go on a barrel run or pick. My buddies are in, man. They're willing to contribute, and we'll all come home with a pack of 10 or 12 or whatever they pay, and we'll pay our part. And
and he doesn't. They don't do this to make money. They just get a group of people to get in on the buy. And they just have fun with it.
Yeah, and every, I guess, yield is a little different. They come out 125 bottles or 110 or, however it works itself out. And then everybody just, you pick a case or 6 or whatever and throw your money in the hat and go home with your bottles,
Exactly.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Sounds like a great day.
Yeah, man.
Along with cigars. So,
so if you want to cut and light,
absolutely.
I'll get to mine as well. So...
No problem. I'm going to use one of my beautiful new Visol, or it's actually pronounced Visol, for my buddy Garang Patel, where he grew up. That was the name of the city that he's from, Visol.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the origin of that name. I always wondered that.
I go
Visol. Visol.
Visol. That's how it's pronounced. Yeah.
Okay.
And I told him, I was like, man, go tell your story, right? It's a strange name that no one really understands. And there's some other, accessory companies out there. What does Zycar mean, or what does Calibri mean? But Visol, they came out of nowhere in the most recent times, and their claim to fame is just like what we did with you all. They logo everything, right? So we're able to mock some items up and logo them up. But so this is the new one. This is Striker. It's got a cool little switchblade action here. If you can hear that, it's got a punch that pops out. It's got a nice little narwhal skewer there in case somebody tries to take your cigar you're drinking, stab them in the hand. I'm pretty sure that's a bad selling point. And then I'm a V-cut kind of guy, and this one's got also a nice little action.
Oh, that's a V-cutter? Okay.
Yeah.
So we might have to order this because we don't have this particular feature. We had like these you call them narwhals, but and how do I open this?
What, the lighter?
The narwhal.
Just see where the little scoop it. There
You
go.
just scoop it?
Yeah, just pull that thing out. Yeah,
Okay.
it's like a spring-loaded.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I know
Awesome,
a lot of
right?
people will use this to like either help open up a tightly plugged cigar, or what I've noticed, you've seen it, is
They put
people
it and
kind of
smoke it
picking,
right to the end,
kind of
yeah.
like a roach clip or something of sorts.
It's awesome. We make it in 7 colors. And,
That's cool.
Retail $40. It's for not
Yeah.
not a lot of money for a very nice. Got a lot of good weight to it. You
Yep.
know, like a good watch or something. You know.
Yeah, heavyweight, kind of like an antique bronze finish.
Yeah.
Big window gauge to show the butane. And this is a triple. So, yeah,
Yes, sir.
triple torch lighter. Very nice to light up the large ring gauges. And the adjustment wheels on the bottom. You don't need a tool, so I like that. So, no, this checks off all the boxes, and plus the punch cutter, like you mentioned, that's spring-loaded action release. So,
Yeah, it's pretty
Very
awesome,
cool.
man. It's been it was really popular at the show. They launched it last week in Vegas. And then
okay. So, it's new. Okay.
that one's called the
I
Striker.
guess we're going to have to order it.
that one's called the Striker, and this one's the Diablo with the
Okay.
V cut built in.
Cool.
Also a nice triple with a cigar rest on top.
Oh, that's nice.
And
Yeah.
again, they can logo them. Kind enough to send some to the house with my initials on them.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, people are like, "Oh, you have your own lighter now?" I'm like, "Listen, you sell enough of them."
No, just say yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I've made it.
Just own it.
I've arrived.
Yeah. Oh boy. So you got the EP Allegiance you're lighting up.
Yes, sir.
Very cool. And you gave me this El Mago, the Miami, is it called? Maduro?
Yes, sir. Miami
Okay.
Art Edition. There's two forms of that. There's the Habano, and I know you're like a Maduro, so I gave you the San Andreas Maduro.
Okay. San Andreas Maduro. Now, let's go into this company. We don't carry it yet. Maybe in the future there's room for it. Give me some of the talking points. Try to sell me the cigar. What's the story behind this company?
Absolutely. So, actually, a sad situation turned into a good situation, right? A young man by the name of Nick Fusco. Again, Nick, if you're out there listening, buddy, at 22 years of age, about 23. Unfortunately, if you remember, there was a condo, two of them towers. One of the towers in Surfside, Miami, collapsed a couple of years ago. And his grandparents, Maria and Gonzalo, hence the name El Mago, they lived in that building until it collapsed and they passed away. He smoked cigars with his grandpa ever since he was 16 years of age, which I think was a little underage. Again, in case the authorities are listening. Yeah, it's
no.
Miami though.
No one
They
cares.
start you smoking.
Look,
out
I
at
started it when I was 16. Yeah.
Miami. They start you out at like 4 or 5. you know?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the French do with coffee and like
wine. Yeah. No, I got something to add to that, but yeah, finish
give it
the
to
story.
the baby.
Yeah.
So Nick, he smoked cigars with his grandpa. I think he was a baseball kid, but the family has a nice business down in Miami, and they cleaned out the grandpa's office, the desk drawer. He had collected tubes of cigars from around the world. That was like his collection.
Cool.
So Nick made like an makeshift art project with the tubes on a board with a picture of his grandparents and the name, and presented it to his mom. And of course, she's upset. She's happy and sad all at the same time. But once the dust kind of settled, it clicked. And she said, you should go and tell your grandparents' story, right? Make cigars. And that's the reason, like literally everything. And the reason that cigar looks the way it looks is because of it pays, homage to the grandparents, right? Miami. Why? Because that's where they're from. People on the band or, in the tube. Why are they in tubes? Because the grandpa loved tubes, right? It's everything has a rhyme and a reason. Nothing's by accident. And remember, you're talking a 22-year-old kid, not from the cigar industry, that started this business from nothing.
You were talking about that before the cameras flipped on. He wasn't generational.
No, he
So
wasn't
he's
born
going
into
in-
tobacco.
Yeah.
Right. So he literally went on this journey, and thank God my buddy Miguel Pinto down in Miami, retail cigar shop owner. Again, it would almost be like somebody here starting a brand and deferring to you and your dad and your brother to, hey, I'm going to make a brand. What do you think I should be doing? What do you see that I don't see? Because you see retail side of things, right? Barcode built into the tube.
Yeah.
Smart. So the things that,
Retail friendly to make it easier for us.
right.
Yeah.
So he had someone like Miguel assist him along the way as well, because he also bought cigars from Miguel's shops called Cigar in Biscayne, Biscayne in North Miami Beach.
Okay.
He bought cigars from him, so of course he's going to defer to the person that he knows well, right? And the way it all worked, he traveled around. He saw plenty of factories in Nicaragua, different brands, different companies to make his product for him. And at the end of the day, after seeing all these manufacturers make cigars for really big companies, plus their own stuff, plus everybody else, he came home and felt like, truly I'm the new kid on the block, and he said they didn't make me feel as though anything would ever go wrong. But he, like any good business decision, you sleep on it, right? And make a judgment call. And he woke up one morning, he said, I don't think I want to go with somebody so big to make my cigars such a big name, because they make cigars for everybody and their brother. Where do I fall in the pecking order, right? And I don't want to find myself in a rough situation down the road should I need more product and I'm waiting to get it. So Miguel, who makes his own brand for his store as well, plus he buys cigars from me, right? He said, listen, I make my own cigars. He goes, if you want, I can make you some samples. You can try them. And if it works out, you'll literally be my only client, right? My factory will basically be your factory. That's how important you would be to me. And that meant everything to Nick. Wow. Right. So starting out small and it growing, now they've gone from a small factory to a medium to a big factory in Nicaragua now because of the success of the cigars. They just opened up a distribution center in Miami as well because they were in a smaller space. They had to go to a much bigger space. So the company's growing infinitely. Wow. And he's keeping up with the times and packaging things much like no one's ever seen, right? Yeah. You buy with your eyes. It's pretty easy to find in a humidor. Yeah. And he's doing a great job. Spent plenty of money. I learned about tubes. This is a 3-piece tube, top, ring, and bottom. The top is flat, which costs more money.
And that's unique. You don't see that.
Right.
That shape for that top.
Right.
It's usually like rounded.
Right. Whenever the injection mold happens, it blows the top out. It's less expensive. They have to pay more money to have the top flattened.
Is that why?
Right. Okay. But companies like Byron and Atabey, they have tubes like this, very expensive.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Padron high-end have flat square tubes. Yeah. They're very expensive.
The box press tube, yeah.
This young man, cigars are at least packaging equivalent, right? But they're not $30, $40, $50, $60 a stick. Most of his stuff is $10.
Yeah, what would that retail in like Florida?
$12.
Okay.
Right.
So here it'd be about $13.50.
Yeah, most of his stuff is $10, $12.
$75, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So the Pepe, which is the box press Maduro, a beautiful purple tube for all the LSU fans out there. That one retails for $15, but it's a double Maduro at San Andreas and broadleaf. Broadleaf's very expensive, of course. Named Pepe because that's what they called the grandpa, right? Okay. That's why it has its name. And then the new Renegade. I said I would bring this back around to my buddy Figueroa, who is very specific with cigars that he smokes, and he is no joke about, he'll tell you whether he likes something or whether he doesn't. And I literally, how about this? You read it. What was the last message I got from him in purple?
In purple?
Look up top.
Absolutely. Merry Christmas, my friend.
Okay, so that was the last time he and I communicated.
Okay, in December 23, yeah.
Now,
2022.
Now what, and I've seen him face to face.
Oh, okay.
So we don't communicate all the time.
Yeah. But after that, brother, people better start waking up with El Mago. This is effing incredible. And he has a picture of him.
He took a picture of the new Renegade.
That's not the same cigar. That's the Renegade. Okay.
And this is the new one, the Renegade. This is double Lajero.
I'll show that picture. We'll embed it within the video.
No problem. But that's the double Lajero, the one in the orange tube, square tube. So again, the fact that my buddy
went out his way to give you that commentary.
Right. And again, he can be very specific with cigars, man. There's some
he's blunt.
He's blunt. That's a good way to
put
honest.
It.
Yes. Yeah. Which I respect.
Yeah,
so the fact that it just showed up today, I was like, wow. All right, cool.
Yeah. Well, right off the bat, just smoking this cigar, it's very smooth.
Yeah. That one's easy.
Very clean.
Sorry, that one's easy. It's a nice light Maduro.
People would think, looking at the wrapper, right, the reaction to looking at a cigar with this color wrapper is like, oh, that might be strong. Yeah. It's intimidating. But this is actually pretty mild strength, like mild medium, maybe strength-wise, but big medium. On flavor, and it's very smooth, very clean.
The Pepe's definitely a step up, and the Renegade's definitely a step up in strength, right? They keep going. Because, again, you don't want to make them either all too light or all too heavy. You got to have something a little bit for everybody. The new Lotus, which is a Lancero in a tube, which I don't know that I've seen many Lanceros in a tube before.
Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal. Yeah.
So he reminds me of, there's two things going on with Nick at El Mago. And that's the name of his company, correct?
Yes, sir.
Number one, being new to the industry and not being generational, he doesn't have like preconceptions. He's not bound by like what's supposed to be industry standard, right?
Correct.
So as a result, he can kind of just do whatever.
Right.
And there's room for innovation when it comes to that. Number two, with the packaging, it's so differentiating right? You can pick it out in the humidor.
100%.
It kind of reminds me of what Oscar did with the Leaf, or Island Gym with the Leaf by Oscar.
It's so funny.
It was so new and novel.
And at
people
the
might
time,
view it as gimmicky.
Who was Oscar?
Right.
No one knew unless
no
you
one
were
really, unless
on
you
the
knew him from
trip.
Rocky Patel.
Right.
Yep.
He was the bus driver, right?
Exactly.
It just looked different.
Yep.
And that's
Yep,
what
it
I say
stood out.
about Nick. Who's Nick? He's a 25-year-old kid from Miami, not from the cigar industry.
Right. Of
And
course,
it just looks different.
You'll have some established retailers not give the person a chance just because he's so new. Like, what's going on? Like, there's a lot of uncertainty, like just not knowing. But he can use that to his advantage. And you showed me a picture of someone's humidor in Florida, right? Where they had, we won't name the other companies, but like the established companies, all kind of
Yeah, they had this
similar
perfect
packaging
strip on the shelves.
But you saw his,
and it glowed.
Like stood out.
The customer actually thanked us for it being in his store because he said as a new product coming in, he doesn't have to walk every customer in, show them the new stuff, and explain
Hand sell it.
Mm-hmm. They literally walk up, look on the shelf, and go, "Oh wow!" And they just pick it up and bring it to the register. And he was like, "It was kind of a blessing in disguise." He's like, "I don't have to present this to everyone." So
yeah, and once they smoke it, I'm sure they're
coming back and buying more.
They're coming
man.
back.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah. So I'm pretty impressed with how it tastes right now.
Awesome. Glad you like it.
So again, Nick, based out of South Florida,
Yes, sir.
commissioned the production to this other gentleman who has.
But now they're partners in the factory.
Okay,
Yeah, they
so
did it together.
Okay.
That next level,
So there's
they went in
equity
together.
from both parties in this factory out of Nicaragua.
Yep.
And they're not making cigars really for anyone else, just their own.
That's it.
brands. Okay.
My buddy Miguel makes a few for his store, which he packages nice
Sure.
and bands and all of that. But no, the only cigar he makes is
He's in
El Mago.
SLE, the factory.
SLE, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he's growing, so that's a good sign. And
Yeah.
I can see this starting out, obviously, with his roots in Florida.
And that's how
And
I
it's a
saw
big
it.
cigar market, right?
That's exactly how I saw it.
Like, just get out there in the biggest market, one of the biggest markets in the U.S.
He was out there, hustling, making it off the muscle. Had cigars
Mm-hmm.
in the car and going account, introducing himself, telling a little bit about the story. He had one size, one blend. He had this in the Habano.
Yeah.
And he would go and sell 10-count boxes. I literally saw them when I was calling on a retailer. I walked up to it and I said, what is
that?
this?
Yeah.
Right? It caught my eye.
While you were out in
And
the field,
And
you
I
saw
sell
them, yeah.
cigars, right?
Right.
And I finally got introduced to Nick, and he was so nice and kind. And, hey, would you be interested in selling my brand? And I asked questions. Oh, what all do you have? Oh, I just have this Habano, 10 sticks in a box, right? And he goes, I'm working on a Connecticut and a Maduro, what you're smoking now, and they'll be out, in a couple of months. But I'd love to do business. Nick, nice meeting you, but I can't go around and sell 10-count box to a customer. I'm not really helping them. I'm not helping you, and I'm not helping me, right? You need a portfolio. So over the course of about a year or so, I saw it go into a few more accounts, right? One was pink and blue, one was blue and pink, one was yellow. They started glowing on the shelf. Then he picked up a couple more. Well, now I'm traveling out of Florida. I'm in Dade, I'm in Broward, I'm in Palm Beach, I'm in Vero, I'm up in Orlando, I'm north of Orlando, and I'm at an account. Now at this time he has 6 SKUs, and I'm at an account that was more like a bar than a cigar.
And tobacconist.
Right. They sell a lot more alcohol than they do cigars, which is fine.
Yeah.
To
No,
me,
that's just their business model.
One of two things always happens. You're either a bar that sells cigars or you're a cigar lounge that offers liquor, right? How the divide happens, I don't know, but it generally happens. So I walk in and I see it on the counter, and how are you doing with Nick's stuff? And the general manager goes, oh, El Mago? Yeah, I met him about a year ago. He goes, we're on our 3rd reorder in 2 weeks. And I said, wait a minute, what? Right? But he buys my other brands, and they don't sell like that at all. And I got thank God, a pretty good portfolio, right? And I said, you're really selling that many cigars? He goes, yeah, we do a Latin night. We clear out the dance floor. And he goes, they just buy them, right? And he goes, we keep reordering. In literally 2 weeks, he goes, this just showed up yesterday. And I said, that's when it clicked. Like, I think I need to have a conversation with Nick again, right? And I called him, like Kismet. He goes, dude, I got off the phone with him. He goes, I'm so happy. I'd love to meet you and again, and let's maybe put something together. He goes, but life is weird. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, I just got off the phone with my business partner. We just signed a contract on a building in Nicaragua, a big building, to go in and make a bigger factory. And he goes, and I was a little nervous because the first thing I thought was, I need to sell a lot more cigars to pay for what we just did. And he goes, the next phone call was you, Jeff, calling me to talk about my brand.
Yeah.
And he goes,
synchronicities of the universe.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I was like, then I felt like this big pressure. I'm like, slow down. Let's sit, let's talk, but
Sure.
open and honest. And
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great, man. So
Wow.
kind of kismet, you know.
Well, I hadn't smoked this cigar. You showed it to me on your last visit.
Yes, sir.
Just didn't get a chance to try it. I'm glad we waited until now on the unveiling during this filming. And I'm not just saying it. Like, if I didn't like it,
Hey,
I probably wouldn't be talking much about it.
Again, I like honesty. Right?
Yeah. But it's really, really smooth. Like, it's very clean. And as a good Maduro should be, right? A lot of people equate Maduros as being strong or rough. And to me, some of the classic Maduro blends,
like Ashton Classic
Maduro. I was
Maduro.
going to say, yeah, that's a perfect example for like
Glencase original Maduro. His horse of the company, you know, that it's a dark Maduro, but it's light. It's smooth. It's smooth. It's light. It's easy.
And that's what like a good true Maduro should be. It's smoothing out a blend, not necessarily just force, but just elegant, almost velvety. And that's what this is smoking like. And just looking at the construction, it's pretty impressive.
Good. Glad you like it. Damn
it. Might have to bring this in.
This interview's going real well, sir.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's awesome. No, so I'm just impressed. So let's pivot. What do you think about the bourbon? You want some more?
Yeah, this glass has got a hole
I know, it's
in
a little,
it, I think.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah,
although I do like the fancy glasses. These are nice, man. I feel like.
These are really more for like little nightcaps, like little liqueurs, and I left my the bourbon glassware at home, so this is all we got.
I like it, man.
It's better than pouring it in like styrofoam.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, there you go, sir.
I was at an account, introduced myself. I knew her from another store and finally met her husband. We got they built a beautiful lounge near the Orlando market. I can mention them.
Yeah, you could talk about
So
we're cigar nerds, so you could talk about anyone, even people you think were competitors.
It's called Fuego by Sosa. Really nice people. They're
Fuego by Sosa.
Yeah, they're an old town. They're upstairs. Beautiful wraparound. They did a great job. But so I finally meet her and I go in and she's like, "Oh, can I get you something?" It was early in the day. So, yeah, I'll take a water. And she's like, "Oh, do you like flat or bubbles?" And dealer's choice, whatever. She goes, "You look fancy. I'll get you bubbles." And I was like, "What do you mean I look fancy?" I was like, "If you knew where I came from, a trailer in the middle of nowhere, Georgia, I'm like, I promise that you can pour some in my hand as long as it's wet. I'm happy, man." So.
Oh, come on, man. I didn't know that you grew up in Georgia or from there. Well, I just assumed that since you lived in Florida that you were always from there.
So always a little back and forth, right?
Okay.
Which was kind of funny because, you know, my parents, like any young couple back then, you know, maybe today didn't know how to be married, right? So they divorced and everything was easy. I guess I'd say easy, but I was 3 years old and my mom moved to South Florida. She had some friends and I went to South Florida. Always went back to see my dad. It was great. But truly, I grew up in a golf course area. Now it's called Rolling Hills Country Club, actually where they shot Caddyshack.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'll tell you another fun story about that one as well. Yeah. But so that's where I grew up, right? From age like 3 to 10. And then, of course, my mom, you know, another relationship didn't work out, moved back to where her dad is, my grandpa, and family. And we moved back up there. But here I was, you know, at the time, now it's kind of turning gray, but a blonde hair, blue-eyed kid with a tan, you know, and I go back to middle of nowhere, Georgia, in middle school, right? Going into like 5th grade or whatever, 6th grade. And, you know, here we're doing a dance at the school, and some kids are in flannels and overalls, and I'm in like a white lapel jacket and a pink tie, and you know I'm straight Miami Vice, and it was good for me because I was the anomaly, and the girls are like,
"Who's that guy?"
Yeah, they're like, "Where are you from again?" I said, "Well, I was born here, but I lived in Florida most of my life." They're like, "You've seen the ocean?" And I'm like, "Yeah, a lot. I've been to the beach. You know, I'm tan skin," and they're like, "You're different," you know. So, but I was different in a different way, right? It's like I never really fit in there. So, went back, stayed through middle school, high school, went back to college in South Florida, and stayed there ever since I went to college. But so I moved back to South Florida, where here I am, this Southern boy with a bit of a twang, and they're like, "Wait a minute, you're not from Florida, you're from Georgia." I'm like, no, I grew up here. So it was weird. It was like I didn't really
You're like
fit.
A real hybrid, yeah.
That was a little bit of both. You know?
Yeah. Not really from Georgia.
Not really from Florida.
Yeah.
It all worked out. So
that's
good.
Cool.
It's good area. But yeah, I live down in South Florida now, Palm Beach area. It's nice. They say all the really really wealthy people live in like West Palm Beach and Boca, Del Rey. You know, Wellington, the horse capital. We live in.
Oh, I've heard of it. Well, yeah.
Oh yeah, Madonna has a house out there. I mean, all these people, like, you should see the houses that the horses live in. They're like 2-story. Mecca, you know, 20, you know, it looks 10 times the size of my home, right? That's just where the horses live. The house they live in the back looks like a castle. You know, it's crazy because there's land there, you know, the further west you go. But point is we live in like Lake Worth area. We're just on the other side of the Turnpike of Wellington, but we're in the little strip where things are still kind of moderate. The areas around are phenomenally expensive.
I'm sure stay there long enough, it'll all be high end.
Yeah. Hey,
everyone's moving down there, huh?
Well, COVID happened and Florida closed for 2 weeks, so everybody came to visit Florida because, outdoor activities were okay in the world, which again, COVID was new. What are the rules? How do you follow? So if you had a beach you could go to or buy an RV, you could come down. So then they figured out they really liked Florida. So everyone moved to Florida. I was like, and the prices just went exponentially through the roof. Wow. My buddy's like, oh, sell your house, make a bunch of money. And I'm like, where do I move?
Yeah, where do I go?
Where do I go?
Yeah.
I still need a home,
Yeah. And the weather is just always good, so that is also attractive for people.
We're like you guys. You're in the bayou. You get you get summertime, and like us, where it's September, August, it's 95 and 95% humidity. It's warm for sure, But we definitely have some beautiful weather, so no complaints. We just don't get freezing cold like you all do. Snow is not a real thing.
Yeah,
at least.
And we only get snow maybe once every 5 years on average, and maybe a little bit longer. And when it does, it's like it doesn't really stick.
Right.
But yeah, that's still way colder than what South Florida is used to.
And South Florida snow is very expensive from what I hear. Hey, but hey.
Yes.
Yeah, I got to throw a joke in there somewhere, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you call on the Florida market, which is one of the biggest, probably most competitive markets in the country.
Long state, this direction and that direction, right?
Yep.
And that's I-10 that runs me right into you boys and girls. But I fly here, I've run the route where I drive all the way up, run the route in a car and drive home. But you're looking for a bridge high enough to run your car off of on the way home, and the bridge is only about 8 feet off the ground here, so you're just going to fall in the water with the gators, and it's probably a slow, painful process, I would imagine.
Yeah, no. I don't think it'd be peaceful.
The flight up and back, rent a car is much easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, like, you're right there on the front lines, especially with a lot of the importers based out of South Florida. Yeah. A lot of retailers, probably very dense markets.
Oh yeah. Well, I always say there's more accounts in Tampa, Clearwater, St. Pete. It's got to be a 35-mile radius compared to all of the rest of my territory, Mississippi and Louisiana, which is an 800-mile radius. So you boys and girls are spread out. Everybody's an hour or 2 hours, 3 hours apart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I've always told people in the industry that Louisiana is one of the hardest, I think one of the most difficult cigar markets to compete in, just because you have a few factors that hurt us. Number one, it's the excise tax.
Yeah.
We're competing with 20% invoice cost versus Florida's 0 no cigar tax. Right. Sandwiched between them and Texas with a penny per stick, which is nothing.
I think New Hampshire and PA are the other two with 0.
Correct. Yep. And so we have to deal with that. Our biggest competitor is the internet.
Yeah.
I feel, and I don't have any data, and I've said this on the podcast, I feel that Louisiana per capita probably has a high cigar smoking population. The problem is I think they're buying mostly from out of state, and it's because of those excise taxes. So to your point, I would venture to say there's probably more shops in like a few zip codes in Miami than there are in all of Louisiana.
Sure.
Sure.
You can hit a 9-iron with the wind to your back and hit another shop pretty easily.
Have you seen that where like you could see a shop from another shop?
Absolutely. Yeah, they're that close together.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So very competitive for the market there. But I guess there's so much, so high of a cigar smoking population too, right?
Right.
It's part of the culture.
And the how many people are in a dense area, right? How many people are in Miami? It's become like the new New York, it's. Yeah, you can't move. You go 3 miles, it'll take you an hour in a car. You might as well walk or take one of those little Segway things or electric scooter. Yeah,
you bring up an interesting point in that Miami's becoming the new New York. And I get a sense of that like when I've traveled to Europe, especially before COVID, when I would tell a European I'm from the United States, immediately they would say, "Oh, are you from New York? Or are you from Miami?"
Right.
So it seems like those are the only two cities that, the less informed Europeans are.
Of course.
So I just found that funny, like, oh man, Miami is really known even in Europe. So I found that intriguing.
With a huge international travel, you go down there and you'll run across just about every walk of life.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite dining spots in Miami? I know there's Cafe Versailles, right? It's like,
so there's it is, and it's beautiful. There's a place called El Carajo.
Nice.
It is in a gas station. You pull up front, BP gas station. You can load up, walk in, quart of oil, whatever, get a squeegee and a fun hat. You turn a corner, and it looks like you stepped into another land. they have one of the most extensive wine collections. Actually, a wine that myself and my girl Jen, who I mentioned before, at a trade show a couple years back in Vegas, we had at Soul, the restaurant in Aria that we absolutely fell in love with, called Celeste. And I haven't been able to find it anywhere. They had it on the racks. And I said, how much of this do you have? We ordered 2 bottles for the table. I took a case home with me. I wanted to buy it. You know, it was great.
Wow.
$35 a bottle. I mean, worth every penny, man. It drinks like $100 bottle.
Okay.
Actually, my buddy Terrence Riley, who we'll make fun of here in a little bit.
Yeah, we gotta talk about him.
He's a big wine guy. You know, he really knows his stuff. And going over to I gave him a bottle as well out of the box before I left. You know, left it at the house. And he sent back to me, good juice, man. He's like, it's everything. He's like, you know, at that point, we had cocktails, we're having dinner, we had cigars. So when you're sitting, talking, drinking, having fun, and he had ordered a bottle of something very expensive. Thank you, Terrence. It was my birthday. I didn't know. I mean, it was my birthday. I didn't know the process. But my point is once he was able to kind of sit, relax, and evaluate the bottle of wine we left,
Clean palate.
he really was like, this is very good. You know, so I knew what I knew when I had it in Vegas. I just had a tough time finding it. But in a gas station, there's a place called El Carajo, and they have paella that is off the charts. They have their version of like a meat and cheese board, but it is like cut filet I mean,
do they have jamón ibérico or like some of the other Spanish meats?
Yes. You took the word out of my mouth.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for being Spanish in this instance.
Jamón ibérico.
Helps well. But yes, they had
not jam on
ibérico. What I call white gaella and they call paella. Yeah. No, again, kudos to my girl Jen for making fish. She's from Miami, so she busts my chops quite often. But two worlds that collide and make a good fit, right? But no, the place.
This gas station has like good food and
phenomenal, and some of the best wines you'll ever find, and they have plenty of it in case you want to. And literally, you're in a gas station. It's the weird. And I'm telling you, walk around the corner, and I think the insert gasp here. I went, oh, what? And you look back this way, and there's somebody paying at the register and buying lotto tickets, and I'm like, what? It's like
it's a clash of products.
It's insane, dude. And you pull up, and it's every beautiful car sitting outside of this gas station. I'm like, why are we going to a gas station? They're like, just go in and check it. I'm like, oh, yeah, beautiful.
Well, living in Louisiana, I can actually sympathize with the gas station food.
Hey,
like in Louisiana, some of the best, like po' boys or like Louisiana fare is found in like especially the independent gas stations, not maybe so much the corporate. So again, it's funny to hear the same thing in South Florida.
It doesn't have to look fancy to be enjoyable, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm happy to take, in case you're listening, Sarah from Sosa.
Yeah, little cut of that.
Yeah. I'm not fancy. I don't have to have bubbles, right? Just pour something in my hand. As long as it's good, I'm happy. Yeah.
Oh man, that's funny. Now I was just talking to a friend, just this past weekend about how the South Florida scene, especially Miami, has a lot of Spanish cuisine. Like we think of Cuban,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Cuban or maybe other Latin American influence, but there's a lot of Spaniards and like Spanish restaurants there.
Absolutely.
So I was wondering if it was like that Iberian ham essentially, which is like their high-end, high-grade ham. It's available there in Miami.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's you find Peruvian food, very prominent. You find
some ceviche there, huh?
Oh yeah, plenty of good ceviche. I think the place is called Ceviche 108, if I'm not mistaken, or 105, 10 something. If you look it up, they got a couple locations. Very good food. More of a scene, if you will. We ate at Gitano, which is in a hotel in South Beach. Downstairs is the restaurant. The upstairs is like a open patio. It's almost like a jungle kind of theme. It's all wrapped inside, but excellent food. Pricey, of course. You're paying for the ambiance at that point, but it was quite delicious.
Wow!
And it was. We stayed down there for a weekend. We just had a little couples getaway, and the good news is for an hour in the car, we can go to another part of what feels like you hopped on a plane and flew to a Caribbean island, and you're enjoying something completely different. We don't necessarily have to do something that extravagant to go experience something completely different. You know? So it was nice.
What are some of your favorite food eateries in Tampa?
Tampa. Well, again, you have the Colombiana, which is amazing, right? It's a show and dance and food and all the wonderful things. But as far as like other sit down good foods in Tampa, let me. I should have thought through this one a little better because I'm trying to think of the outskirts between St. Pete.
Yeah, you call on St. Pete as well.
Yeah, there's across the bay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's right there. So
how many cigar shops do you call there about?
A ton, man. Just Tampa's got a ton. I mean, they're original.
Tampa's cigar
They're the capital originally of the world. I think because all the tobacco came into the railroads there. You know,
is there a headbutting between Tampa and Miami? Like culturally, like who has the better this or the better that, or no? Does that not really exist?
I don't think they look at it much that way anymore because you start to go to Miami and it's more like the Spanish version, Cuba. You feel like you're in hell, they have a little Havana, right? So that's on 8th Street, Cayocho in Miami, and then you go to Tampa and it's completely different.
Like the old world.
Yeah, so it's I don't think they really. I don't think they pick and choose those battles.
Okay.
Or maybe they do, and I'm just not a part of it, right? I try to stay out of harm's way if I can.
Yeah, I don't even know if there is like a beef with some people like between the two cities, but I always equated like Tampa being like that old world Spanish influence, Cuban influence,
right?
Miami being like the new age,
absolutely,
or more modern.
And most companies, they're all down there, right? Everybody ships from Miami. There's a few in Texas and a few further west, but most everybody comes out of Miami. Which Oscar, again, if you're listening, Oscar, you ship from Texas, and people in Florida are very spoiled. They would like their product next day, UPS ground. They have to wait 3 days for a product. They get yelled at.
Does he get yelled at because of that? Like, he should move over to Florida.
100%. Yeah, especially if it's like a Thursday, right? And they've run low and they need it before the weekend. And usually if they order, it's there on a Friday. Well, now they're not getting their order until like Tuesday of the next week. You better know, Monday like clockwork, I get the phone call. I placed an order with you last week. Where's my order? Remember, it's coming from Houston.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's right, Jeff. Okay, thanks. I checked the UPS. It says it delivers tomorrow. Okay, thanks. I got my customer busting my chops.
Stay where you are, Oscar. I like the fact that he's there. We get it.
You're UPS ground next day. Yeah.
See, we don't have that. Louisiana doesn't have that. So it's good that some of those Florida shops feel our pain.
Yeah, they definitely do.
They're so spoiled.
Right. I guess it's a good call because at least they want the product, right? If we had a bunch of product nobody wanted and they didn't care, then it ultimately got problems, right?
Yeah. Man, it's unfortunate for us, and I'm sure Florida, for like the few importers that are based in like Nevada or maybe the Northeast.
Sure. Well, I think Tatawahi, don't they ship out of like Arizona?
They used to be in California, but they made the move, I think, to Florida.
Oh, okay. I knew it was from far away.
They used to ship from Florida. I mean, California.
Wow. Yeah. It takes a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm sure like that was the reason for the move. Is he knows the density of cigar shops in this country are on the East Coast.
I think that's where Pete Johnson was originally from. He was
he lived there. Yep. Mm-hmm. He's originally from Maine, and ended up in California. I think he had an interest in the music world, but that didn't happen, and he eventually worked at.
He was like a bartender or something.
He was, I think, like the tobacco manager for. I just blanked out. It's a high-end cigar club.
Maybe that was it.
The Grand Havana.
That's it. Yeah. And when I said, I didn't mean bartender. I meant like he was involved in something.
Yeah,
like
because it's also they also serve alcohol. Right. And I think they're still in existence. They have one location in Manhattan and one in Beverly Hills, and that's where he used to work. And that's how he met Pepin, I guess. When Pepin was with Aganorsa.
Oh, yeah. Back in the day, people don't know that.
I know.
A lot of people talk about Aganorsa, and they're like, who? And I'm like, well, if you know
then
my
it was,
father products.
Tropical.
Yep. And then it became Casa Fernandez.
They
changed the name because of AJ Fernandez, right? He branded himself better.
Yeah, it was confusing to the market.
Right. So they changed the name to Aganorsa.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned you deal with Aganorsa. What's going on in their world?
Oh, man.
I know the trade show. What was the new some of the new items? Do you remember?
Absolutely. One is.
I know it's a blur.
No. One's branded in your mind. You can't forget. We came back out with the 10 by 100, which is about the size of your forearm if you're looking for a cigar that'll last a week. Original run last year at the show in 23 was 2,500 boxes sold out. Individual coffins. This year we did 4,000 boxes.
Okay.
Unbelievable. The new Cuba sweet tip called Superior. It's kind of a version of like a Baccarat that came out with a 660 in that size. So there's
Corona, we just got that.
Corona, Robusto, Toro 660. Actually, a really great little cigar, man. I'm not so much of a sweet tip kind of guy, but in the morning with a nice black cup of coffee, it blends very well. Sweetens just a touch on the lips, fades out pretty quickly. We just wanted something else that's more of an intro cigar to the Aganorsa group because, Nicaraguan tobacco, we're more medium full right from the jump. So you got to have something that's a little more intro. Yeah. And Fabian Ziegler, who came over from Drew Estates, he did the original Deadwood series. That was his project.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Wow.
And then besides that, of course, the beautiful Arsenio that just got launched. It'll be out soon enough. But our master blender for many, many years, he passed away.
What was it,
Probably gonna get it.
2016 or 17?
Yeah, I was going to say about 8-10 years
It was a
ago.
while ago, yeah.
Right. And supposedly he was the dude that, when Old Man Padron and Old Man Fuente would come out with a new cigar, they would take it to Arsenio to have him smoke through the blends before it came to market to really kind of, what the word that everybody likes to use from Aganorsa, validate. He would validate their blends for them, and he was kind of the guy. So they wanted to really make something that spoke to, if we're going to come out with something what we consider more of a high end, as an homage to him, and ours are $16, $17, $18 retail sticks at this point from Aganorsa. They wanted something that really spoke, that to his likeness, right?
Yeah.
It had to be real quality, the best that we could do, and that's exactly what they launched at the show. So it was a big hit. Yeah.
I remember. Do you remember they had a cigar named in his honor years ago called Arsenio?
That was the original Arsenio.
They
Had
had
that
the
little
Carrillo,
tobacco on the sides,
Yep,
10 count, and those cigars. If you can find the old ones,
I know. We have so many.
I'll send you my address.
hardcore-
Mail them to my house. I'll pay you.
Yeah.
They're phenomenal.
Which one did you prefer, the Corojo or Maduro? Do you remember?
The one had a red and kind of gold band. Was that the Corojo? I think it was the lighter of the two, if I'm not mistaken.
So. I don't even remember now the band colors.
Yeah, I think it was like a reddish box press, and the band was reddish color. I think that was the Corojo.
Okay.
I was only fortunate, again, when I came into the business, they were still hard to find at that point, right? But the cigars were phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, if you see them, they're in a flat 10-count slide top. Packaging wasn't fancy, right? Had a little loose tobacco on the side.
Yeah, just bordering the
that was
outside,
it. Great cigar. Absolutely great cigar.
So when I saw the announcement of this new Arsenio, I was like, wait a minute, is it like the original?
Sure. And
But I like the packaging of this new one. Yeah.
looks great. And they literally took what was meant to be a picture of him right from previous of him smoking a cigar, and that's the band. Right? They did a really, really nice job.
Yeah, I knew he was a giant in the industry.
Right.
Probably more known within the industry, maybe not so much mainstream. But
Correct.
yeah, he was definitely a legend. So.
And again, Aganorsa was never, Eduardo Fernandez, the owner of our company, he's the guy, the Wizard of Oz, right? He's the guy behind the curtain, right? Doing all the things. And, if he walked into your cigar shop or your house or your bar or whatever, restaurant, it looked just like a regular guy sitting down having a glass of wine and smoking a cigar. So that was always the market confusion with AJ Fernandez. And Fernandez is probably like Smith here in the United States.
Yeah.
AJ, if he walked in with his big brim hat, everyone, oh, look, it's AJ. So he branded himself much better. But both are great in their own right.
Yeah. So what's going on in the world between the eternal fight between you and Mr. Terrence?
My buddy Terrence.
Yeah.
And again, so anyone that knows any of our Facebook banter nonsense that we, listen, I jokingly say, what do I do for a living? I sell dead rolled up leaves that obviously someone does a phenomenal job putting together, growing a seed the size of a grain of salt, right? Yeah. And how it gets to my hand right now is, God bless the 300 pairs of hands that touch it, right? But so I'm fortunate just to be able to sell them. That's the hardest part that I have to do, or fix an invoice or a shipment that's wrong or whatever, Where's my package, Jeff? It's been 3 days.
Yeah.
But my buddy Terrence, he came along into the what was at the time Casa Fernandez family and really took their company and rebranded it as we know today from Aganorsa. His lineage, he's actually Manolo's nephew, right? He's part Spanish, which I find kind of funny because his name's Terrence Riley. I'm like, wait, how much Spanish? Like a 16th or 32nd?
Plus he's a Rubio. He's kind of white,
tall. I'm like, come on, man. So. But his claim to fame with them also is packaging, marketing, and the Oktoberfest, right, which is very popular. So
was that his brainchild?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
wow.
Terrence, great at what he does, but he's the guy that'll call me in the morning, 7 o'clock, phone's ringing. I'm like, Terrence, what's up, man? He's like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm literally getting out of bed. I'm having a cup of coffee. What are you doing? He goes, I just wanted to call and tell you I hate you. Bye. And he hangs up the phone. I'm like, this is how I have to start my day? I'm like, so anytime I get to mess with the dude.
It's like Step Brothers.
Yeah, I was like, unbelievable, man. He's honestly as sweet as a human can be, man. He's a good dude, but he's smart. Likes to bust my chops, so I definitely bust back. And this trade show was brainchild of, again, I'll bring her up, Jenny. We were talking about like action figures, this, that, and the other. You buy a certain amount, you get a however the doll thing even came up because the jackets, the Aganorsa jackets, right? So I said, man, it'd be awesome. Let's get a. She goes, what about if they had like a like a little Terrence doll, and people could take pictures with it, and it literally
Like a
got
Ken doll.
So that my brain doesn't work like that. I'm like, she's driving. Great idea. And so I start Googling her Amazon regular guy doll. And they're like, Google doesn't know what I'm saying. I'm like, average Joe looking action figure. And she's like, babe, like Barbie, you have to look like a Ken doll. It's like, oh, good idea. So I'm looking through, and now the part that got even really strange, even for me, I was like, I'm looking at how they look in their face, because there's a ton of, I don't know how many different damn versions of Ken there are, right?
Yeah.
So
all the different races, huh?
So now I'm looking at pictures of Terrence on Facebook, and I'm like, this one kind of looks like him, right, babe? And she's like, yeah, that's a good one. I'm ordering a damn doll. And oddly enough, they have a jacket like that varsity style.
Yes.
I was like, oh, it exists. So one person in Idaho, like basically sent it down because we came up with this concept 5 days before we're leaving for Vegas. And it was a weekend before. I'm like, this thing has to ship if we're going to do it, right? And so we took one of the Aganorsa patches, cut out a couple of the pieces and glued it onto the jacket. And of course, the unveiling was, and how it all started, they wanted us to wear our jackets to the team meeting and take a picture. And I pulled it out. I went right in the front and I pulled it out of my jacket and held him in the front in our team photo. No one knew except for my buddy Gil Tejada, who's one of the best videographers and photographers in the industry, does a phenomenal job. I told him, I'm like, just make sure it's in focus, right? And he was like, he started cracking up, right? He's like, you're crazy. So as I pull him out, a few of the other reps are like, is that like a little Terrence doll? What is that? I'm like, and Jack Tarano happens to walk by. I'm like, Jack, I'm going to introduce you to her. So I put out to the world at one point also, who would you rather talk to and hang out with? Real Terrence or Tiny Terrence? And so many people, Tiny Terrence is way better. And Terrence, so Jack took it and took pictures with it. And then it went to the guys at Postania, the guys at Cigar Hustler, great guys. Speaking of Skip Martin, and it just took a life of its own. So Terrence would come up, he's like, where's the doll? And I'm like, I have no idea, dude. It just went on like a 3-day run in Vegas, and it was eating and drinking. And again, I posted, but people would send me the pictures, and I was like, all right, I'll post them. But all those pictures were from other people.
Oh, that's
funny. A couple were ours, right? But a lot of fun, man. So
where is that doll?
It's at the house. Yeah, no, I guess I should have brought it with me. It was fun, man. He's taking a life of its own. So one guy was like, I think Tiny Terrence needs his own podcast or Facebook page or, like
Instagram handle, yeah.
So one guy's like, is this swag? Like if I buy enough boxes, do I get a So it's, again, it's gotten weirder and weirder, right? Yeah. So, but all fun and games.
Did it come with the khaki pants?
Yeah, so it had we ordered another set because it didn't have shoes, right? So I had to order loafers because, Terrence has been over the house at 10 o'clock at night on his phone pacing. And I'm like, bro, sit down, relax, have a cigar, have a bourbon, shut it down, right? Yeah. Like you're 40, you're gonna have a freaking heart attack, man. Take 2 steps back, so you hear of the weekend to just chill out, go in the pool. I'm relaxed. I'm like, you're not relaxed. You're literally wearing a path on my floor, bro. It's 10 o'clock at night. So.
Well, it just shows you his dedication. Just always focused.
He's on, dude. Sometimes you got to turn that switch off, man. Stress is a real thing. Heart attack's a real thing. It can happen even if you're in good shape, right? So. Right. Yeah, so we try to talk him down a couple times. So yeah, great guy though. He's been there for me in that same aspect. So,
well, good deal. Well, look, I appreciate you coming in.
Hey, my pleasure. Cheers.
Anything else you want to talk about before we have one lightning round, little flash round? If you would do me a favor.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what's the lightning round? I got to pick a topic.
Nope. So I'll ask you 5. Yeah, I got 5 questions. Just quick answers if you can think,
Oh boy.
Sound them off. Nothing too hard, I don't think.
No. Let's do it.
So number 1, Tabasco, Crystal, or other hot sauce?
Well, I'd say, so it's funny. I have a beautiful collection of hot sauces. When I travel, I always want to pick up something from somewhere else, right? But I'm going to go with the local market right now, and I'd say Louisiana hot sauce, man.
Oh, nice. That's a good one.
Yes, sir.
That is a good one. Okay. Let's see. And I'm getting a little rusty. Number 2, who would you want to smoke a cigar with, alive or deceased? It could be anyone, famous or a relative or whatever.
Yeah, I was asked this once before. Who would I like to smoke a cigar with? I'm trying to remember what I answered.
Oh, what do you feel like today?
Yeah, who would I like to smoke a cigar with?
Tiny Terrence?
Nah. I don't want to deal with Tiny Terrence or Big Terrence. I want to smoke with either one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, who would I really like smoke cigar with? Somebody that, I'd want somebody that really had like questions I wanted to.
And it doesn't
know
even have
the
to be anyone you
answer to.
admire. It could be like someone you hate. You just want to like sit down and have a cigar.
Nah, I don't want.
I know.
I damn sure don't want someone to sit down
Like
with somebody I hate.
some enemy or something.
Yeah. I don't know. That's tough, man. We'll make it easy. Growing up watching Marino, I'd like to sit down with Dan and have a cigar with him.
Laces out. Damn.
Yeah,
All
baby.
right.
Maybe we could throw the ball together. He'd probably still break my fingers. I heard that he's got a rocket of an arm, man.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so I'd probably say Dan.
Dan Marino?
Yeah,
Very good.
let's go with Dan.
Favorite vacation destination?
Oh, someplace you can just go and disconnect, man. One of the places we went recently, which I recommend to everybody, it was easy, it was inexpensive, went to St. Croix.
Okay.
Yeah, we were the only plane that landed on the tarmac. You get off the plane, walk down the airport, literally your baggage comes outside of the building, right?
Whoa.
And it is just, there's St. Martin, there's St. Thomas, and there's St. Croix. And the other ones are much more, put it this way, when we're in St. Croix, they're like, yeah, we don't go to St. Martin or St. Thomas. It's too commercialized. It's too many people. Like, it was the place where, you barely got phone reception. It was nice to just disconnect, right? That was a wonderful, we went for 3-4 days, a little Airbnb on the water. The water is so close to the room. You felt like you were on a cruise ship because the water going by, it felt like the building was moving.
Oh, wow.
That's how close, because it goes to 1,000 feet and like 100 yards out. Like they have whale watching there. The whales literally run through there at a certain time of the year.
Okay.
But it was really, really
St.
nice.
Croix.
Yeah.
Very
buy
cool.
all the local food, local fish, and we had our kitchen at the Airbnb, and it was nice just to do whatever we wanted, whenever we wanted, however we wanted. So that's the kind of, again, my life is hustle bustle, day to day, all the things, shop, car, drive, food,
Yeah, you need to like detach and
completely disconnect. Yeah.
unplug. Cool. St.
good.
Croix. Number 4. For industry people, I ask this like a little different.
Yeah.
What's your desert island cigar from your portfolio of like the cigars you represent?
What does desert island mean?
Like your last, if you could only choose one cigar to smoke for the rest of your life.
Oof.
So, desert island cigar from your portfolio, and do you have a desert island cigar for maybe another company that you don't even rep?
Can it be the same one? Because I used to work with them, and I don't work with them anymore.
Yeah, sure.
And it's
Because it's not part of your portfolio. No?
It's not made in the same location. So I did work with a company by the name of De Crozier, my buddy Santana Diaz, the 512 black can series that was made in Costa Rica. The originals.
Which size? Corona Gorda?
That one or the Colonialis?
Yeah.
The ones basically. Okay. So there were 6 cans.
Yeah.
3 of
we
them.
Have some.
Oh, really? The old ones?
Yeah. In our vault. No,
yes,
I don't know. You'd have to talk to Pops on that one. That's one of my all-time favorite cigars.
Dude, they were like $6-7 a stick. Yep. The ones that where you can get 20 in a can because the ring gauge
and
was,
they punched the can underneath to let it
was
air
cedar
out.
lined.
Yep.
Yeah, so that would be probably my desert and the one I don't work with.
Good one.
I stand by that one. And again, they still have them today. You can buy them.
But it's different.
They're made in Dominican, and they make a
different.
natural and a Maduro, and it's just not the same as the one that was made in Costa Rica. That thing was next level, dude.
Yep.
So, and again, it was $7 in my territory. It was, it could have been $27 and worth it, right? The cigar was excellent.
We'll have to talk off air about that cigar company, because that to me was one of the biggest tragedies. Like, I don't know what happened, but I wish that cigar was still offered from, from Costa Rica. I don't know if it was taxes or whatever, but anyway, that's a good choice. No one's ever mentioned that one.
Any ship that's guaranteed to fail is a partnership. So I think there was partners involved, and everybody's got a different idea of what's right or wrong, and you know sometimes you got to break off and restart. And I think that's what happened. I wasn't there, but that's the hearsay, right?
Yeah. So that's one, and one from your current portfolio.
Oh, what do I absolutely love? So again, you'll notice a pattern here. I like a smaller ring gauge cigar. I think that the original Miami Lancero, which made from Aganorsa, they were the Miami series.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
We still make it today. They're made in Nicaragua. It's a box press Lance. It's absolutely delicious, man. Christoph Sumatra Lancero, I think, is phenomenal. Again, didn't get enough praise. What else is out there in the world that I absolutely love? Actually, the new Lotus is very good from my buddy Nick. Again, I like a Corona, a 6x44.
Yeah, a little smaller.
Right? I don't with Lorenzo HVC, his Hot Cake Connecticut 6x44. Delicious cigar, man.
You rep HVC in Florida?
Yes, sir. I did. Before, yes, sir. Before.
Okay.
So shout out to Lorenzo.
Yeah.
So all good sticks.
Good choices. And last question, who would you want to see here on a future podcast?
Oh, nice. Who would we put in the hot seat? Actually, at this point, since we're talking about him and, he's growing his brand and all the things, I would say my buddy Nick. It'd be awesome to have him in the house. And
He's
talk.
always welcome.
Oh, you got it, man.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't speak for his schedule or his travels,
I know. Just let him know that
Stuff him in my bag, carry on.
Yeah. Well, look, buddy, I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're busy.
Truly a pleasure, brother.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
All right, everyone. Until next time, talk to you later.